You know, if you go to vacation over the weekend and you forgot to take your garbage out?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, what the garbage starts to smell like.
That's what it tastes like the way garbage.
Don't sniff it, just do it. Don't sniff it, just do it. Don't sniff it, just do it.
That is hands down the worst thing I've ever tasted.
Don't sniff it, just do it. Don't sniff it, just do it. Don't sniff it, just do it. Let's get ready to rumble!
And for you watch, hey, listen. Grab a Chicago hot dog, sit your ass down on the sofa, and tune in for today's episode. And remember, don't sniff it, just do it.
All right, we're back. This is You Watch, I Listen. Ralph, welcome back. What did we do last weekend, Ralph?
We did not record.
We did not record, and why was that?
We were in Atlantic City.
We were in Atlantic City, and why were we in Atlantic City, Ralph?
I don't remember.
You might be getting married, unless the fiancé is just a made-up thing to make you feel better about yourself.
Well, given that you've met her several times, I think that'd be the best work ever.
So I do want to tell a couple stories without using names from the bachelor.
Oh
party.
no, the bachelor party. We could actually do.
We could do an episode.
We could do
about
just a bachelor
the bachelor
party episode. But before you even get into those, before we get into live reads,
sure.
Little bit of serious. It was a lot of fun.
Yes,
everyone
weekend.
who came down. Literally, I don't think there was a single problem the entire time.
Well, not for us, but one person there was. He had a bad first night.
But literally, it was a blast. Having 20 people come out just to celebrate.
22 is what it was.
22?
22 was the final number.
I didn't even know I knew 22
We had to get 22 extra people, or we had to get 2 extra seats at the dinner on Saturday because it was 20.
So, thanks everyone for coming down. If you're listening, it was probably one of my best nights of my life. You know,
best weekends in general. It was flawless.
It was absolutely awesome. We'll give you a few stories there because there was a lot that was unforgettable.
A lot to take in,
and a lot that people probably don't remember.
Yeah, exactly. So really quick, I want to do a couple live reads. First and foremost, shout out to our boys at Lobo Sound. If you heard our new opening today,
how good is that intro?
The intro is so funny, and the audio on it is from when we did our little our juice cleanse with the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit.
What? It feels like we've arrived because that is such an O&A thing.
Yeah, and don't
ha-ha noises.
Don't sniff it, just do it. That fucking line. So big shout out to Lobo Sound. Check them out at lobosound.com. You could still get the Bobo Show EP. We're only a couple months away from the Bobo Christmas album, Songs of a Festive Nature.
By the way, Vince Lobo texted me, and I forgot to text him back because I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, you are.
I coined it, not you.
What? Was it you?
Festive Nature.
I probably believe you. I knew one of us said it, but when you were talking and you and I both ramble, everything kind of blurs into one, unless it's about Tom Cruise.
You're a piece of shit.
When it's about Tom Cruise, I know it's me.
Tom Cruise. By the way, I watched the Tom Cruise movie you gave me this week.
I didn't give you one this week.
What's called?
Which Tom Cruise movie?
Brian's song.
The Outsiders 2. Brian's song. So
he plays the nurse. He was horribly miscast.
It's like Osmosis Jones. He just plays the disease in the body. Again, check out Lobo Sound. Another big one we got to give a shout out is to our buddies at Fudge and Finn's Shots for Like podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, bros and broads, and genders of all sizes, shapes, and colors. We're here to tell you about your favorite drunken podcast, Fudge and Finn's Shots for Like podcast. Fudge and Finn friends come to their studio to talk sports, video games, movies, shows, and of course have a few drinks to get loose. The hashtag Shots for Like podcast is available on all podcast platforms, including iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play Music. Go follow them on Twitter at Shots for Like, on Instagram at Shots for Like Podcast, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Shots for Like Podcast. The longer you wait to listen, the more shots you'll have to take on your own. Don't drink alone, drink with them. And again, we will be on with them on September 22nd, which is just a couple weeks away. So I'm looking forward to that. Or next week, isn't it?
What day of the week is that?
I'm really looking forward to that. And I got to give a couple shout-outs on Twitter just because I was playing around and I figured, it's early. I did it like 10 minutes ago. Just retweet this if you want to get a shout-out. So I got to give a shout-out to Living Deliciously on Twitter, a really good horror Twitter account. Alex Malaguti, who is he's got hair like Sideshow Bob, but he's a good kid. Very good kid. And a big shout-out to IQ Wrestler, my favorite crippled person in the world. This kid, you definitely don't know IQ Wrestler, but
I have no idea.
He's well known on the Japanese wrestling MMA scene. He makes highlight videos.
That's a huge scene.
Well, he lives in Australia and he's a big cripple. And he was born like that. Why can't I say cripple?
No,
he calls himself a cripple.
No, just like the absurdity of your story. It's just getting more Japanese.
I told him I was going to bring him to America one day and then just put his chair in my crop fields to scare the crows away. I mean,
where the fuck's a crop field?
Oh, you know where it is. And
Where?
Then, you know where it is. And then a shout out to my friend Alex, also known as Artist. Now, this is probably our biggest fan of the LGBTQ community. He isn't American, but now he lives in Canada. He's been very supportive of us. He actually just got married, but he's already leaving his wife. He came out to his wife after keeping it just to the forum guys for a while. So shout out to Alex. He's been very supportive of us as well.
I like how you did the hand motion as if he's sitting right there.
It's such a guinea thing. I realize I'm doing it sometimes when there's like no one watching and I'm talking with my hands. I'll be talking to myself and I'm talking to the cats.
I don't need to censor that one out because we're both Italian.
What's wrong with guinea? Or what about WAP? What about WAP?
WAP's a really bad one.
To who?
Us.
Is it bad to you?
I don't care.
I don't think there's any word that's bad to us. We should start saying them.
Okay, what's your next thing?
No, why don't you go? I kicked off the show, so.
All right. So, before we get into anything, I just want to point out something.
Okay.
We did our football picks, and we're not going to go into the football too much because we did a whole show about it. But someone forgot that they play on Thursday night.
Yeah, good job. I believe that you picked the Bengals because you are high on them, so I trust your judgment on that. Good job. How did you? It's not like Thursday night football is a new thing.
You know what it is? Every show does picks on Friday, so in my head I'm like, oh, I'll do them Friday, and I'm halfway through the Bengals-Ravens game, and I go, oh, I probably should have wrote this down.
And I literally told you I was doing that on Monday.
I'm not doing them on Monday. You don't know.
No, but I told you I was typing up, or Tuesday I did. I was typing up my draft, and I didn't publish it until Thursday afternoon.
I'll pick the Thursday one in advance and then type the rest up.
Yeah, that might be your best idea going forward. I mean, definitely things can change based on injuries. I
also predicted that AJ Green would have 3 touchdowns. I also predicted
in the
Joe
first
Mixon
quarter
would leave twice with a knee injury, but only miss 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, for now 2 weeks. We'll see. It hit a loose fragment in his knee, which that doesn't sound pleasant. A loose fragment.
I have him in one of my leagues. I heard that it could go either way. I heard that this is actually an injury that it tends to go on the more conservative side. That 2 weeks is usually the maximum, but it's a knee and he's a running back and he's on my team.
I also don't think
6 weeks.
I also we're not going to spend too much time on football. I was talking to someone about this. I don't think his loss really hurts the Bengals as much because their offensive line has improved so dramatically from where it was the last 2 years. This is a team that started out 3-0 in 2015 with a great offensive line and using a running back by committee.
I don't think it hurts them, but I do think that
it hurts their depth.
He adds a weapon that now you need to plan for because he does things that Bernard can't
physicality.
And whoever the
back.
Third guy is, I don't even know who he is.
It's all going to be about the offensive line because if Andy Dalton is not a good enough quarterback to make a bad offensive line look good and a good offensive line look great. So as long as their offensive line is good, the Bengals will remain competitive. So a couple things. So why don't we jump into a couple bachelor party stories, and then I have a question for you to follow up on that. So again, we went to Ralph's bachelor party this weekend. We went to Atlantic City, stayed at Harrah's. Again, great group of friends, a bunch of people I hadn't met before, and then a bunch of close friends. So the first night was kind of like a do your own thing. Fair to say, you kind of stayed back at Harrah's drinking with your college buddies that you haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
And we all hung out for a little while. People gambled for a while. Richie and I kind of wandered around. We were looking for cigars, and in the process of trying to find cigars, we stopped at each bar and took like 2 shots, a double shot at each spot. So that started out really well.
How quickly did you get into that? This is going to be a problem mode.
Okay, so I can tell you
we all know exactly when you go fun. Okay, I might as well go all in or turn around now.
So that's exactly what it was. So if you remember, you went to the blackjack table once we all met up. Then I hung back there, and then Richie and I said we were going to go get cigars. So as we went to get cigars, again, we stopped everywhere and did like a double shot of Jameson at each spot.
Ooh.
And then we waited for our other group of friends to come down. The 2 of them that we were watching football with last week, I'll say, without using their names. So don't worry.
I don't give a shit.
They're not going to remember. So them, a couple other friends, and then instantly we were like, all right, we all got to do a round of shots. So one friend bought 7 of us another shot of Jameson, took the shot of Jameson, and at that point I said, oh no. I remember Manfro took the shot, and then he immediately started walking towards the bathroom, and he threw up at 10 p.m.
Which is that, if we put bets on who would be the first person to throw up, no one would have Manfro.
No, to be fair, having gotten drunk with him quite a few times, or at least seeing him drunk, he gets it out early. He's very smart. He gets it out very early, but he was also in Atlantic City at like 1 p.m.
Yeah, that's true. And also,
I got to his room, and he was watching Teen Nick.
Was he in just a towel?
No, but he told me what he was doing. So, again, we kind of did our own thing, and then we split up. A group of like 9 of us went to Wild West at Bally's.
Yep.
Awesome bar. There was this great band playing. I was trying to help a few of my single friends meet women because they have no game at all. They have not that they don't know game. They don't know how to open. And that sometimes can be the hardest part. I
also don't think they know how to close either.
No, because 2 of them did close on Saturday night.
That's okay. Here's the thing, though.
But I opened for them then too.
Though, keep going.
Okay, so
I don't want to pick on anyone.
So we went to Wild West, and there was this great band playing. That they wild mix of cover songs that were all really cool versions.
A wild band at Wild West.
Yeah, wild band at Wild West. Some 70-year-old.
By the way, can you just turn me down a little bit? I'm going to the red a little bit more than you.
So we while we're like up there, I was the first person to go up and dancing of like anyone on the floor for this band. Everyone else joined in. Then the 70-year-old Asian woman comes up and starts trying to dance with me and Manfro. Like not just dance next to us, dance with us. And we just kept like slowly moving away, and she was tailing us. So, again, I'm trying to help my single friends meet girls, and I'm telling my one friend, I'm like, there's a group of like 5 girls right there. Go talk to him. And he's just standing there. I see him come back with a brand new drink, and he's kind of dancing, and I just fucking knock his drink all over the one girl. And then what do you know? He's buying her shots and talking with her all night. Did not close that night, though. So anyway,
which goes back to my original theory.
They couldn't close. It just the element on Saturday was completely different.
Well, Saturday was shooting fish in a barrel.
Yes, exactly. So we leave Wild West at like, I'll say 2:30. We completely forgot Colucci was with us. I knew that Richie and Manfro were hanging back. They were going to keep drinking for a while, and Manfro almost got into a fight with a Russian guy. Some guy like tried saying that Manfro can't be dancing near this group of girls, and he like put his elbow up and like slapped it right in front of Manfro's face. Manfro may not be the best guy to mess with at a bar.
I was going to say, Manfro will win. I don't care who he's going, unless
he's a maniac.
Unless
I love him.
Going against I'm trying to think of an MMA fighter.
Yeah, good one. You can't even think of
Kebab. Unless he's going against Kebab.
Kebab?
Yeah.
You like Cowboy Cerrone. You could have said Cowboy.
Well, I think he...
No, I don't know. So again, we forgot Colucci. Literally.
By the way, when I found out that Colucci was left there, so my future brother-in-law has met Colucci once. He doesn't understand the dynamic because it's antisocial. I think everyone...
it's anti-Semitic. It probably is.
From the outside looking in, it is an abusive one-way relationship, everyone with Colucci. Yeah. And you know what? He's 100% right.
Yeah, we're OJ and he's Nicole Brown Simpson.
So I told him, I go, oh shit, they left Colucci. And he goes, oh fuck.
So this is about, so literally it was four of the guys, Josh and I. And we were like getting ready to leave, and we see a limo, and this guy's like, if you're going to the strip club, it's free. If you need a ride back to the hotel, it's $5 a person. We're like, okay.
Good
Josh and I weren't down for the strip club, but the 4 other guys were like, yeah, let's go. Or 3 other guys, excuse me. We're like, yeah, let's go. So they bring him to the strip club, bring him to Stilettos, and then Josh and I are going back to the hotel, and we're like, where the fuck's Colucci? It took us literally 15 minutes to realize he wasn't with us when he was supposed to be. So
I put that on him.
We get back to the hotel. We came up to your room and hung out for a while. One of my favorite moments was a former guest of ours, Ken, and Greg sitting next to each other, and Bill sees them next to each other. He goes, it's Ken and kind of Ken.
Kind of Ken.
Called Greg kind of Ken because they do kind of look like they'd be related.
Which, by the way, Greg did not like.
No, but he has to deal with it. We all loved it, so sorry. Colucci doesn't like half the things we say about him, and he has to like it too.
Ralph Sr., by the way, holding fucking court.
Yeah, so Ralph's father came as well, and he was all about like watching us be complete jackasses for the most part.
Never once stepped in.
Yeah,
Never
no,
once.
He just liked observing. So again, so after we get back to the hotel, we're drinking there. Josh and I decide to go back to the room and wind down at like 3:30, and then I start getting texts from 2 of the dudes that are at the strip club saying we're trying to leave, but our other friend is refusing. He's saying he's having too much fun. Literally, one text says he won't leave. In the group chat, I was reading it yesterday. He goes, "We lost him. It's too late." So they left him. So they get back to the room.
By the way, I think it's the right move.
The 2 of the guys get back to the room at like 4 a.m. And they brought breakfast sandwiches. I was kind of sleeping, and then once I smelled the food, and again, my one friend Bob years ago at a wedding when he passed out for 5 minutes, he made the quote, "Sleep for 5 minutes, good for 5 hours," and I can attest that is absolutely true because I slept for 5 minutes and I was wide awake after that. So
that didn't work because he said that every time he dozed off.
That's fair, but it worked for me this time. Maybe just not for him. Maybe his theory works on everyone but him.
I just think your body is like preparing to die so young that you're just like, let's burn everything now.
That's literally what it is.
Everything must go.
So,
it's like a liquidation sale.
So at this point, I'm wide awake. It's 4:30, and then we start getting texts in the group chat from our friend that is still at the strip club, and he says, "You guys need to save me. Why did you let me stay? I spent $5,000." I was like, I didn't believe him. He spent $5,000.
How many hours was he there?
He was probably there by himself for about an hour and a half, and overall probably about 2.5 to 3 hours, I'd say. But
he's okay. Wait. I want to see how much he spent per minute there.
Exactly. So one of the other funny so he comes back to the room. And
he spent $27 a minute there.
Yeah, exactly. $27 a minute. I got to tell him that. So he comes back to the room and he's complaining, "Guys, let me spend all my money. You know I like having fun." He's blaming him. Who doesn't like having fun? But I've never had so much fun that I accidentally spent $5,000.
Colucci doesn't like having fun.
Yeah, no, Colucci's not fun, so that's understandable. So he's back, and like Josh is sleeping on the couch in the hotel room. Two of the guys are in the one queen bed, and I just have the queen bed to myself. This kid decides, he gets back, he takes off his shirt, lays down on the floor between the two beds in his jeans, and he goes, "This boner ain't going anywhere." And I'm like, is this a threat now? So he's trying to sleep, and then he gets up. He's like, "This floor sucks." And he comes into the bed by me. He goes, "Dan, I hope you're ready for my boner, and your butt cheeks better be ready too." And I'm like, I don't know what this means, but
I am so happy I was not in your guys' room.
So he passes out pretty quickly. I fall asleep for about an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. This kid can sleep through anything. I mean, yeah, he was completely shit-faced, but he wakes up around 11 a.m., we'll say. And they start exchanging stories from the strip club. Our one friend is telling, one of the guys that left early, they're telling us how he had no money left, no cash on him. He had 3 singles, a Harrah's $1 poker chip, and his Juul that he vapes out of. And he made those 3 singles at the stage last for an hour, just slowly giving out singles. He then tried putting the poker chip there, and the strippers kept kicking it. And then he tried giving one of the strippers right after she did a split in front of him his Juul. Like, is she gonna vape through her vagina? So then
I'm picturing this in my head perfectly too.
So then as our friend wakes up, we start telling him, like, "You spent a lot of money last night." He's like, "What do you mean?" And I got a picture of the exact moment he looked at his bank account and the charges on it. And
wait, I haven't seen that.
I'll show it to you right now.
Photo.
His face. And if any of you guys
By the way,
want to see
photo...
it, I'm not giving the guy's name out because he is a professional and he is a good friend. If you know me, you know him personally, I will send it to you.
By the way,
this is the exact moment he saw his bank account. Tell me that isn't the perfect reaction picture.
Do you know what that is? That is all hope is lost.
Yeah, that's literally, we've lost everything. So he's like, "Oh my
God."
By the way,
every great photo from AC is of this person.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got 5 of the top 5.
There's a ton. So we
had a group and we were just posting it throughout the night.
He's like, I got a dispute with. What are you doing?
I dropped something.
No, you didn't. He's like, "I got a dispute with my bank tomorrow." Can't dispute with his bank because he put the charges on there. So he's just kind of laying around. He looked like shit most of Saturday. He looked like he was miserable. He looked like he didn't feel well. He jumped to the other bed and he's laying down. And we're like, "Dude, why does it you don't just smell like BO and sweat. You smell like gross."
It smelled like pennies.
Yeah, he smelled like pennies. And we look at his pants. And guys, I wish I was exaggerating this, but you've all seen Superbad. He got the exact kind of stain that Jonah Hill got in Superbad after dancing with the girl. And I wish I was kidding. He has a period stain on his jeans, and it's a big one.
It's got to be 18 inches.
This stripper used him like a tampon for a while, and she got it all over different spots. It literally covers almost his entire thigh, I would say. Is that fair? Almost his whole thigh. It covers the whole groin area, I'd say.
You texted me and you go, "He got used like a tampon." I go, "Oh, they took advantage of him." And you're like, "That, but literally used like a tampon."
Used like a tampon. And he's like, "Oh, gross." Doesn't take the jeans off right away. He just laid around in them after that. There was a mark on the bed from where he was sleeping.
Now, if you woke up with $5,000 missing,
okay,
and you know it's your fault.
Yes. Didn't get stolen.
Would you fall into instant suicide watch depression for a short period of time?
Yeah, I would feel very you'd get that sinking feeling in your stomach.
He didn't
I imagine it's how men feel when they know they accidentally knocked up a woman when they first find out, like that tunnel vision, like holy shit, what did I do?
And he just goes. It almost after that photo you took. It was very much like these things happen.
Yeah,
these things don't happen.
But his whole
Cost
day,
of doing business.
After that, he kept saying, "I got to get up and do something," and he just wasn't getting up and doing anything.
Didn't he get him like lowered a little bit?
He
Not a lot.
I
but like,
don't think so. From what I understood, he didn't get anything disputed.
You know what I liked about this weekend? You got so many stories, and they all were kind of true, but people then would tell a story that contradicts the first one, and you know the truth is somewhere in between.
Yeah,
but I don't care.
You know it's wild enough that one of those things is probably true. So we finally got him to get up. I made him eat something. Actually, while he was showering, so he's in the shower. The one friend is shaving in the mirror in the bathroom, and I just come in and I just drop trow and I start taking a shit. And then
as you tend to do.
He opens the shower curtain and he just sees our one friend shaving, looking right at him. And the guy shaving goes, "You're looking at the wrong person." He looked right past me. He looks down and he sees me shitting, and he just starts laughing hysterically. And he's like, "Dude, it smells bad." And so we get him to come out and eat. We go to the pool during the day, and we start drinking those fruity ass drinks.
Oh.
And you have it's like called a Chunky Monkey.
It's Chunky Monkey. It looked okay.
It was delicious. It was a lot of rum. It was a lot of rum.
I still was a little hungover at that point, so I like nursed it. It did rally me, but I had to go slow.
So, but you took the drink. It's this like white ice drink, almost like a slushy kind of thing, and you covered up the straw.
Mouth.
And the same kid that got perioded on, you drop it on his face, and now he looks like he took a money shot. Like he just looks like he got bukkakied. And I don't know if I showed you this either. I'm gonna make a DVD case out of this, but I put a logo on the picture.
I saw. You showed that one to me.
We have a picture of it. He looks like he just got splooged on, and it says Brazzers.
By the way, Ralph Sr. goes, "Look what happens when I'm not around."
So the rest of the day goes well. We had a great dinner. Dinner was really cool. Carmine's out here is fantastic. It's a lot of food.
You got Richie unbelievably intoxicated.
Yeah,
Carmine.
well,
Richie would order a drink, and this asshole would go, "Drink it," and Richie would go, "Okay."
You got to captain it. It's so funny because like your brother-in-law has said, "I'm a bad influence," but I don't do much convincing. I just say, "Hey, do that," and then you do it. He does it. Most people, if I just say do it, they do it. I don't know why people listen to me. They should know I'm a terrible influence.
Because we just want to shut you up.
That's a very good point, and that's
why I show up for the show every day.
That's what the landlord does usually.
He's just good. If I don't show up, he's just going to send me texts constantly.
Yeah, texts and dick pics usually.
And then he'll start talking to me about how much Tom Cruise grossed this last weekend. So I just come here.
Well, Tom Cruise hasn't had a movie since Mission Impossible.
Shut up!
So after Carmine's, we went back to the hotel for a minute, and then we went to the pool after dark.
The pool, by the way, of all the things that happened, pool was my favorite part.
I knew you'd like the pool, man.
Oh, I've been to the pool.
Okay,
Pool's awesome.
A lot of people hadn't. So Harrah's has an awesome indoor pool that even during the day, it's kind of like a bar club hangout.
It's like a club resort
mix. Kind of thing. And there's dancing, there's drinks.
Guidos.
So we had a really
There weren't that many Guidos.
No, there weren't.
But there usually are.
The DJ sucked. It was this dude from Vanderpump Rules who's awful, and the landlord watches that, and when this guy I hate the most, and I'm like, of course it's him.
By the way, I got really drunk, obviously.
Yeah.
And said it. I took a picture for the fiance because she loves Vanderpump Rules, and I go, "Look, it's your boy." Except that DJ had left 3 hours, and it was just some random black guy or something.
At one point, me and one of the
guy didn't even look like him, and I said, "Look, it's your guy." And she goes, "I don't know who this is."
Me and the doctor were walking around, and we're right in front of the stage, and he's not.
By the way, all the nicknames you use are nicknames that we've revealed earlier.
But you know what? I guarantee you, there's continuity issues with listeners. So, and even I guarantee you,
by the way, none of these stories are really that bad.
No, they're really not. The only one that's bad is the money and the period. And I just don't think he wants his name.
Oh no, that one.
And he's only been on the show once, and I'm not going to reveal one anyway.
It was Josh.
It was Josh. No, it was not Josh. Josh looked like he was having an okay time at the pool because he wasn't drunk.
By the way, all I kept hearing about was how irresponsibly drunk Josh was going to get. Josh didn't do anything.
And I knew that was going to happen too. He got pretty drunk Friday night, but not irresponsibly. So anyway, so we're at the pool, and that Vanderpump guy, he wasn't even DJing. He just got on the mic every so often. It was James Kennedy, and said things, and he just shouted things. He didn't actually DJ.
I thought he was great.
So we had a private.
How did you know when to put your hands up in the air? We need somebody
you
like
do need
that.
a hype man. So we had the private cabana up top above the pool, which was fantastic. It was just overlooking there
with the cages.
The cages, and like at different points, there were girls in the cages, and then we were in the cages. One of my favorite parts of the night was there was a birthday party and a bachelorette party happening, and actually Richie knew one of the girls at the bachelorette party. We went to high school with her. She was 2 years older than us. So I was in the cage dancing at one point, and I'm in the cage, and for 10 minutes I just stood there pelvic thrusting like casually, no actual rhythm, just pelvic thrusting. And one of the girls that's there for her bachelorette comes up in the cage and starts dancing, right? And I'm just still doing the same move, like nowhere near her. And then she's like getting ready to go out, and then I start dancing, and I fucking knee her right in the ass, and she face plants. She fell so hard, and all her friends come rushing, and I look, and I just started pelvic thrusting again. But the best part was, a few hours later, I'm doing the same thing. Manfro comes in, and I actually intentionally pushed him out, and he just face planted onto his drink, and then security came and kicked me out of the cage.
You deserved it.
So my favorite part of that night was seeing two of my friends that didn't have great closing ability, but they're two of my favorite people in the world. Close with women.
Can we say
they're going on dates with the women this weekend too?
I know.
Yeah, because amazingly, I know AC. New Jersey's a small state, but AC is a drive. It's a 3-hour drive. So
and also, AC isn't just New Jersey. You got Pennsylvania, you got Delaware, you got Maryland. People coming.
You get a lot of people that come out.
People who can't afford Vegas, they come there. Like
exactly.
It's kind of
it's Vegas East.
It's shitty Vegas.
It's shitty Vegas East. So. We not only did Richie run into a girl that he knew from high school, two of our friends met these girls that live 3 towns over, about 40 minutes away. Where they live now, it's probably about a 30-minute drive, and they hit it off instantly. And God bless them, they did it. They got it in.
How $5,000 tab guy went from that to he had the worst night and the best night. He literally, by the way, averages out to nothing happened to him.
Yeah, exactly.
He averages out to Josh.
Yeah, that's true. He started out neutral. He ended up in the hole.
He was 22 of 22, and then he was 1 of 22.
Exactly.
Were you there? Were you there when my buddy Andrew, without reason, ripped my shirt off and threw it on the stage, and he said, "That's what you get"?
Yeah. The best was when we were walking by the pool, and all those beach balls were there, and we're trying to keep them up in the air, and it always ended with someone punching it, and it would just hit some random woman in the face.
Oh,
we saw a fight up top.
Where was the fight?
There was a fight right below us between some white girl and some black girls. Some white girl fucked her up. It was a brawl.
I remember that vaguely.
But overall, it was just a fantastic weekend, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it quite a bit.
It was awesome. I don't know what else. I mean, there were tons of stories. A lot of stories that they're not good for the show, but things that we are going to talk about for years.
There's going to be a lot of lore around this weekend going forward among our friends.
And the best part is it was people from our high school.
Yep.
People from our high school that aren't part of our circle of friends, like Bill and Tom.
Yeah, correct.
We had my college friends. We had family. Everything just meshed well together.
Everything meshed very well. I felt bad for your brother-in-law that he basically just came down for dinner and then had to leave after 3 hours. That kind of sucked.
Yeah,
I wanted to party with him a little more.
That guy can, of all the people.
He's a Rusky. Of course he can.
He can drink
vodka.
He can drink vodka.
Vodka.
Sometimes stereotypes are true. I go to him.
Of course they are.
I'm like, have you been drinking? He goes, no, just vodka. I'm like, have you been? No, just vodka.
He puts vodka in his cereal.
All right.
So overall, it was a really, really good weekend. I'm going to set something up over here, so why don't you jump into something, and I'll be back in 2 seconds.
All right.
Good dead air, Ralph.
Sorry, I can't see my screen. All right. So while you set that up, I have a question for you. Who is the greatest rock band ever? Or just the greatest musical group in history, would you say?
In history, man?
If you had to poll people, what would rank number 1 typically? What group?
I would say the Beatles are probably...
Okay, Beatles. Let's just go with that. Okay. You would think with the Beatles, you are an asshole. I'm an asshole. He just dropped his fucking phone.
The case. It's a bigger case.
The Case Keenum? So, you would think a band like that never... I mean, everything that could happen with them has already happened, right? Every story, there's no more we could break out. Everything they've ever recorded. Correct. There's nothing left with the Beatles. Well, apparently, there are some stories that we still don't know. Did you hear about what Sir Paul McCartney said?
Go on.
All right, so apparently before they were famous, the Beatles, including Paul and John, would party, but not every night, because sometimes they would have what they would call just messing around by sitting in, I guess, lawn chairs in the dark, masturbating together. Okay. But not in front of a girl, not watching a pornographic movie. They would just yell names across the room to each other.
Okay. So I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I actually I forgot to write it down, but I wanted to talk about it because I love the Beatles and I love masturbation.
Where would you rank that album if you recorded that? Where would that rank on the Beatles?
If they recorded them jacking it,
that'd be one.
It would have to pass.
That'd
anything.
be the Sgt. Pepper's curves.
The Sgt. Pepper's of group masturbation. Now the real question is something like that considered homosexual? Is it like teetering, or is it just it's questionable? I would say questionable is the right
Here's
call.
one of those things. 5 years ago, I could easily answer this, but in today's with gender fluidity, and there's always another. I'm staying out of it.
That's fair. Okay, then it's not I don't think it's homosexual, but
I don't think
it's questionable.
I'll say this. I think it happens more than people will admit.
Absolutely, and I will openly admit, I remember being in like 6th grade when we first like found our parents' porno. It was when there were tapes. We found our parents' porno tapes, and I remember. I'm gonna just admit it that me and my friends would put on the tapes and each have our own blanket in different spots of the room jerking off because we just discovered like how to pull our pud. What? Okay, you're gonna act like you never did that?
No.
Okay, then sorry. Shame on me.
I didn't say anything. I just laughed.
No. Listen, I am totally. I think you have to be very comfortable with who you are to not feel weird about that. Now I'd feel weird. Like I'm not gonna invite you to come over. Ralph. The women are away this weekend. You want to hang out and jerk off together?
Yeah.
We could do a double Dutch rudder.
Only if we're watching Joe Dirt 2.
Yeah, we got to jack off while watching Joe Dirt. The key.
But think about this. One of those guys is an icon for the counterculture. The other's a knight. And at 18 years old, they're sitting in lawn chairs yelling,
Sir
Bridget.
Paul Pulpud. I think the key to keeping it where you can, if you are a straight man and you don't want to be questioned by anyone, you got to be in different corners of the room, and there can't be any visualization of the genital area. There has to be a blanket.
The lights were off.
The lights were off. It's not that bad as long as they weren't like right next to each other.
The story is that it's the Beatles.
Yeah, it's the fucking Beatles, and I guarantee you other bands have done. I mean, we just found out what's his name was who was the oh my God, what's his Quincy Jones admitted all the gay sex that was going on with Marlon Brando.
Richard Pryor.
Yeah, Richard Pryor, Marlon Brando. People in the entertainment industry are fucking weird. You got to be weird to be that kind of an artist. So it's to me that shows how good of an artist I am that I've actually jerked off in the room with my friends.
You're not
before.
an artist.
I'm gonna jerk off right now. Would I get kicked off Instagram Live for that?
Let's try it out.
Okay. I only need like 2 seconds to ever finish, so it's okay.
I find it hard to believe that 55 years later, we're still learning things about the Beatles that are not, this is just, they're digging for a story. That is front page news Beatles stuff.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I mean, what band do you think
this came out on September 11th, and it was the second headline. Just put that in perspective.
A day of remembrance. Paul was jerking off in the room with John. Wonder how Muhammad Atta felt about that. That's why he did it. He knew before anyone else.
If he knew that was coming out, he'd have a lot more to live for.
Yeah, he's like, if I knew that I was going to learn about John and Paul jerking off, I would have saved it. Put it in my back pocket. That's offensive. That's vulgar.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God.
I'm used to it with you.
I love learning things about like the people that like they idolize them. Like people were startled to hear that Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor were doing gay sex together.
Marlon Brando doesn't shock me. Richard Pryor
Richard Pryor talked about sucking dick on his stand-up before, and people just thought it was stand-up, but he definitely always blurred the lines with his stand. I mean, he was
Jim Norton.
Well, let's be fair here. Jimmy has never openly gone with a man.
Jimmy has. He said it.
Has he said that?
He said when he was like 17 or 18, he was all strung out.
You're 100% right.
He said like
he also played Monster Rain.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, do you want to play Monster?
The guy in the pool?
That's a good point.
I mean, you say there's none. I know. We rattled 3 off the top of our heads.
I think it's because the majority of Jimmy's like weird sexual escapades involve transgender individuals. Transvestites.
A lot of it's, drug induced. A lot of it's him exploring his body with like kids when he was a kid.
Oh my dude.
When he was a kid.
So is it weirder to play Monster Rain or as an adult masturbate with your friend in the room? Both of you masturbating. What's weirder?
The latter. Monster Rain's just kids.
What if you play Monster Rain as an adult? Do you want to?
I don't have a porch.
If you guys don't know what Monster Rain is, this isn't my show. That's not my story to explain on here. So just do yourself a favor and Google Monster Rain.
It's O&A lore.
Yeah, it was Jimmy lore to a lesser extent, but the original story was told on O&A.
And by the way, he experimented with kids as a kid.
Yes.
I would like to make that very clear, Mr. Norton.
In today's culture, you saying that he likes talking about experimenting with kids. No. Jimmy Norton does not do that. We'd like to clarify. We love Jim Norton. He's actually one of the few people I never expect to hear anything in the Me Too stuff about at all.
No, because I think he's very open with everything.
He's very open and honest about it, and he's also called out other people in the past. He was very fair about Louis as well. And Louis one of his good friends. So
the only thing with Jimmy is that how fair he is on some is how well they can advance their career, because there's a lot of people I've heard him support that really...
Yeah, now...
if it was anyone else,
Now, speaking of Louis, let's talk about Norm. I want to talk about Norm. So for those of you that don't know, Norm MacDonald got in some hot water this week because he made comments that sounded like, I will say sounded like, because I'm not trying to misinterpret it either, that sounded like he was defending what Roseanne Barr tweeted and what Louis C.K. did. And I can understand out of context why it seemed like
out of context, it doesn't sound good.
Out of context.
I'll say this, even out of context, I don't think it's career-ending.
No, it shouldn't be career-ending. At the end of the day, you have to understand, I will stick up for most all of my friends in almost any situation short of sexual assault, beating up their woman, killing an animal, hurting kids. If you murdered someone, I'm going to ask you why and then probably have your back more often than not. At the end of the day, these are his friends, and the Louis stuff is a little bit... I definitely understand him defending Roseanne more than Louis. Louis' stuff is much trickier, but what he was saying was that he wasn't marginalizing the victims, but I understand why it sounded like that. He was saying that what Louis and Roseanne are going through, no one else in this went through. Like, they lost a lot. Like, Roseanne, most people that know Roseanne were concerned for her well-being on a suicide level.
She was devastated.
Yeah, and she's a mentally ill person to begin with. So
basically what he said is that while, yes, there are victims in this, we also have to understand that these stories tend to have blowback.
Yes, absolutely.
That they can far exceed what is done, where what you are doing is a 2 out of 10, but you're getting payback of like 8 out of 10, basically.
And then he got canceled on Jimmy Fallon, and I saw... and he defended Fallon. I was very angry, and I don't like Fallon at all. He defended Fallon after the fact because I thought it was Fallon's decision.
Norm did?
Yeah, but Fallon, he said that he was still going to have him on, but then he found out that executive producers of the Jimmy Fallon show were literally crying because of Norm's comments, and they felt threatened by him being there. Norm MacDonald, who has never been in trouble.
Norm MacDonald, who's always in character.
He is arguably the most respected stand-up comedian on every level of the last 20 years. Hey, does anyone ever shit-talk Norm MacDonald?
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, well...
I know what you're saying.
So, he had to go on The View yesterday and explain his comments.
Well, then he got in trouble on Stern, though, because he made a comment about Down syndrome.
Yeah,
he made a joke about Down syndrome.
I saw he made a comment about that, too. He said, as I was saying it, he was about to say the word
Something
retarded.
worse.
He was going to say retarded. Yeah. And he realized, and then he said Down syndrome, and he said, and I stumbled. And he openly admitted, I probably shouldn't have said that.
You know what it is? It's crazy. We've drawn lines in the sand saying you could say this, you can't say this. Okay, I get it. But now it's being... The spirit is just completely out of it.
Yeah.
It's just, what did you say? We're going to put this through our monitor, whether it's acceptable or not.
100%.
And you're no or a yes. And if you're a no, you can't go back on the yes ever.
Yeah, and if you support,
and then eventually there's going to be no
support your friends that did something bad, and again, not condoning anything Louis did, but he's not Harvey Weinstein. You can't put it on that level. What he did was still atrocious, but he's not Harvey Weinstein. He doesn't mean he's supporting those actions. He said, I'm not supporting those actions.
He said,
I'm not
my friend.
He's my friend, and I'm worried about him. Because literally, that's the risk you run when it's not just the risk you're doing when you do something like Louis did, but they have so much to lose, and it makes it even dumber that they think that behavior is acceptable. But what Roseanne lost is dramatic. I mean, she still has an empire because she's going to be collecting Roseanne residuals for the rest of her life.
Also, I still believe that Roseanne is going to be one of those cases where give it some time.
Well, I
think...
Look at how they cheered that kid on the Brewers, that pitcher that they found his tweets from when he was 18, Josh Hader. He gets sensitivity training, and then they give him a standing ovation the next game back.
I will say this, the standing ovation did look a little... It was a bad optic.
Yeah, well, there's definitely...
It was. They weren't cheering what he said. They were cheering support.
Exactly.
But again, you can't you can't even do that. You have to say you're bad, you're a pariah. That's it.
Yeah, you
Next.
can't go by you're not allowed to go case by case. You're not allowed to defend the person under any circumstances. And
Like all joking aside, like there's a reason why I get all like I say a lot of inappropriate things, jokes and things like that.
not on the air.
On the air though, like I want to be careful because like I still have
Yeah,
a
you're a
life. I still
professional.
have, I
Absolutely.
have a profession. Like I don't want to lose everything because something. Even now,
I want to tempt you into saying something bad so you do lose everything. I'm just going to provoke you. Well, I wish you were one of those people that like read what was written no matter what it was, and I would just start putting terrible words on there, like Ron Burgundy. Like if that happened and I just wanted to get at you one day, you drop a terrible word.
I would just edit it out though.
But I'm saying if you were one of those people that yeah, true, you'd edit it out after the fact. Usually have to edit because of me.
I've had to edit myself a few times.
I
there was
gotta
one really bad one where I said,
defi-
"I can't believe I just said that."
I remember. I definitely I'm more risky than you are in that regard because I don't work in a corporate structure. I work for a small business, but there's been plenty of times where we've both gone back on our social medias and saw things that to us we know what our intention was. But I had a joke on there that I elected to keep up because if you don't understand this is a joke, you're stupid. And it's one of my favorite Facebook statuses I ever posted. It was, they say one in every 14 individuals, or one of every 30 individuals lives next door to a pedophile. Not me. I live next to two gorgeous 12-year-olds. 12-year-olds. That's funny.
Good job stumbling on that.
That's funny. But I had to think about it if I was going to get some shit for that or not.
Well, I think another thing is that standards, what was acceptable then. The problem is
jokes just aren't acceptable now.
we have a record of everything we've done.
Yes, correct.
And
Everything's documented.
Standards change, but the records don't change with them. So some you said then would have been, he probably shouldn't have said that. Now is a career killer because we have decided that these words were acceptable then.
Correct.
Now they're not. And there's a lot of things where, I was 16. I said, that was stupid even then. And I really wasn't that bad. I definitely wasn't as bad as you.
No.
But there were a few things where I was like, this is questionable.
16, I was that bad 3 years ago.
Then I actually went through and I deleted things that today are acceptable, but 10 years from now may be problematic. Like now
that's a good point.
I need to now plan out how people's mindsets will change.
Just the way it's all amped up in the last
Everyone's wound up too tight.
There's two different things. I mean, the racial stuff has really heated up in the last 10 years, we'll say. And in the last 2 years, anything along the lines of sexual misconduct, joking, I'm not saying it's sexual, but because of the actual speaking out against sexual misconduct, the jokes are no longer acceptable in any form.
Well, I'll say you some. And then, you know what it is? You adjust as well, too, though.
You have to.
I was driving here. I listened to the Fantasy Football Network on Sirius. Yes, I am that pathetic that I listen to
Hi, Instagram Live. I see people leaving comments, but I can't read it from here.
It's Colucci. So...
Probably.
So I listened to the Fantasy Football Network, and they were talking. People call in and say, "Hey, I have this trade," and one guy said, "Oh, you got trade raped," a term made famous from the league.
Yeah, trade rape.
And I was driving, and I went, "Ugh!" Like I had a shiver because
he said rape.
Now, granted, the context of it is not anything related to rape. All it means is that you're taking
using
the best players for nothing.
They use the word rape when they talk about. They say they rape and pillage the village, like when you would take over a community or a town.
Yeah.
So it is a term that is used beyond the scope of how rape is commonly defined.
But it's just I don't know if it's right. And I think the gut instinct is to say, no, this is wrong, let's fight against it. But at the same time, I also think there are things that probably in the 50s that were acceptable.
Yeah, smacking your woman when dinner was cold.
So I understand. Times change. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer to it. I can't say you should be allowed to say everything, because you shouldn't be allowed to say everything. But I also think we need to... I still think that society is learning how to use social media. It's only been around for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to go to... I think it's going to be similar how the 60s, where someone like Lenny Bruce was a pariah, hated, bashed, he had his fans, and now in retrospect, he's this progressive mindset.
And you watch his stand-up now, you're like, what was the problem?
Not progressive in the, politically, but edgy.
Yeah, he pushed limits where he pushed the boundary where there wasn't one yet.
I think some people are going to fall in that category. I think some people are going to say, no, I'm stuck in my ways, and I don't care if I offend anyone, and I think those people are going to lost in the dust.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a medium where they go, you know what? He shouldn't have said that, but he said it. Whatever, he's human.
Well, the other thing is in how you're saying the times change, and I think it seems like it's almost every 20 years or so, previously, there's this change culturally, whether it's about accepting, going back to the 50s and 60s when they started doing desegregation. And then you're talking about women's lib.
Which would be the 70s.
But now what's happening, because, as you said, of social media, everything is put into hyperdrive. Everything is advancing so much faster.
I don't think everyone should have a voice. I think that's what it is.
You should have to, I think for social media, you should, one, have to pass an IQ test. I think your IQ should be slightly above average to have social media, because that would show, for the most part, you can use it responsibly.
You know what? Actually, I'm going to take that back. I don't think that not everyone should have a voice. We need to stop valuing everyone's voice equally.
Yes, and you got to stop. You got to stop taking everyone's word as fact instantly.
I'll give you
before. But that's the balance to not believing anyone for years. That now that if someone says something, you have to believe everything because you didn't believe everything.
Let me give you an example.
Sure.
A cousin of mine. You don't know him. You're never gonna meet him. Just kind of
he hot?
distant cousin. Yeah, he's great.
No, is he hot?
Yeah.
Okay, great body.
He's very right wing to the point where let's break out of the snowflake territory. There are things where he goes where I'm like,
so it's beyond. He teeters on alt right, as opposed to you, who is the screaming liberal, social justice warrior.
So he posted some from this like far right newspaper.
Okay.
I don't want to say far right, but it was right wing.
Was it Breitbart?
No.
Okay.
It was like Fox News level.
Okay,
sure. So it's not that bad. And he basically, the headline said, feminists are outraged at Apple because their screens are too big. So that it's sexist to have big Apple screens.
Good.
So I go,
I love Apple. I hope their shares go up.
I looked through. Apparently, the article said that women think that because men have bigger hands, we develop phones. Blah 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 blah. There was no argument.
Developed by the Chinese.
But wait. Let me just finish. The women are outraged were two random women on social media. Why are you writing an article about two people who we don't even know if they're trolling? Why are we giving credence to nobodies? Like that's saying like breaking news. Ralph doesn't like the new McChicken.
You're giving every soccer mom and basement dweller playing video games a voice. And listen, they should have a voice within their own community. They should not have a voice on the national level, and that's what you're risking with this. So this is teetering on almost the political side, but the last thing I want to say about Norm is I was happy to see that Netflix did not cancel his new show. I just watched the first episode last night.
It's up?
It went up yesterday, the whole season. Good. The first episode is David Spade, who actually is a pretty funny guy on interviews.
I've always liked David Spade.
He's a very funny guy, and Norm is he's brilliant. He might have the greatest comedic timing in a personalized setting of anyone I've ever seen.
I think Norm has my two favorite comedy moments,
going.
top 50. One where he was on The View and just kept saying, Bill Clinton killed a guy. Bill Clinton killed a guy, and he pulls out a phone and he goes, they want me to do a bit with the phone. I'm not doing the bit. Bill Clinton killed a guy, and he got thrown off. And then my second was the Bob Saget roast, I believe it is, where he wrote clean jokes.
Where he bombed intentionally.
He intentionally bombed. The cringe factor is amazing. And there's just, he would say his punchline, and there would just be polite, titters. So,
yeah.
No, he takes risks. I think he's one of the smartest comedians of our generation.
He's brilliant. And
Definitely the most underrated.
He's in one of my favorite comedies ever in Dirty Work. I love Dirty Work.
He's great in Dirty Work.
Him and Artie. He saved Artie in a lot of Artie's career because Artie was on the brink of getting kicked off Mad TV.
He brought him to Stern.
Yeah, he brought him to Stern. But Norm, there's videos you could find on YouTube of Norm just ripping on people, and it's some of the funniest shit you'll ever see.
And the thing about Norm is you don't know where the character ends.
Yeah.
There's someone that we know. We're not going to say the name here. Who we don't know where the bit begins and the bit ends, but he's always in character.
Yes, and I've definitely known him longer than you.
Yes,
but it's so funny when I get him to break character more than anyone. I've had him.
I don't want to see him break character.
No, I mean you don't talk to him like I do on the side.
No, I know.
Me and him talk all the time. But he knows who he is. So right now we're just going to log off Instagram Live, maybe do Facebook for a minute, just to say hi to people. So if you're watching, hi, I forgot your name, Serbian person, but bye. Episode will be up on Monday for everyone that wants to hear the rest. And live video. Okay. So, all right. So I had a couple things. we reviewed last week on the football show, so we should probably just dive into who our picks are going to be this week.
All right.
So
I need to pull them back up so I remember.
I asked you about two movies specifically a couple weeks ago if you had seen one, and you said one you wanted to watch on your own, and that's the one I did want to give you, but I'm going to let you have that.
That one, that's a rough
I'm going to
one.
give you the other one. I'm going to give you Whiplash. Whiplash came out 3 years ago, I want to say. Miles Teller plays a kid going to a very prestigious music school, and he's a drummer. And he has an instructor or a teacher played by the brilliant J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons is...
I know this movie now. I haven't seen it, but I know the movie you're talking about.
So J.K. Simmons won an Oscar for it, Best Supporting Actor, and he is unbelievably good. Wait, why are you looking at football picks? I'm talking about the movie and show picks.
I thought you were talking about your football picks afterwards.
No, jackass.
When you said picks.
No, we're a movie and TV show, a movie and music show, you jackass.
I was confused. I was I thought we weren't doing the picks on
Why
the
did you
air.
think I started talking about a movie?
Because you're an idiot.
That's true.
That's all you talk about.
So, Whiplash.
How much did the movie gross?
Not much. It was more of an indie
Do you have
film.
new screenshots from the new Halloween movie?
I know. The new trailer did come out, though. Why don't you stay on track, jackass?
I am on track.
No, you're not, clearly.
What are you talking about?
So
that's my next story.
Okay, I'm giving you Whiplash this week. This movie made me so uncomfortable when I saw it because J.K. Simmons is such a cocksucker. He reminded me of Arlie Emery in Full Metal Jacket. He was brutal. It was very just uncomfortable from start to finish, and he deserved the Oscar he got. J.K. Simmons, so many people just know him as the dad from like fucking Juno. To me, he's Schillinger from Oz. He was the most vile neo-Nazi I'd seen on a TV show or a movie ever.
He's one of those guys. He's just kind of in everything.
He's versatile. He's a great actor. He deserved the Oscar.
He was a character actor until recently.
Yeah, I mean, but see,
was he the barber in something?
The barber.
Yeah.
He plays Commissioner Gordon in the DC movies.
Did he also want Spider-Man?
Yeah, he was J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man or Spooderman. So yeah, you're gonna get Whiplash this week, and I think you're really, really gonna like it.
I'll take a look.
All right, what am I getting?
So I'm giving you I'm a big fan of bands' albums that are released before the band becomes big. So, for instance, Eminem's Infinite.
Yeah, sure. Grits Sandwiches for Breakfast by Kid Rock.
Kid Rock.
Mate Feed Killed Repeat, Slipknot.
The AFI, where they were more just a punk band. So I like those things.
Sure.
I'm giving you The Offspring's debut, known as The Offspring.
The Offspring.
So
I'm in.
Go into this album. I listened to it recently. It's a very raw album.
Okay.
It's as unpolished. When you listen to it, you could tell it's The Offspring, but they might as well be demos. What I really like about this is, one, it's a band that really didn't expect to get famous, it sounds like. It's like a band just having fun, writing songs with their friends.
Yeah.
Some of the things they sing about on this album make you go, what the hell? They have a song called Beheaded, which is literally about a guy who goes around town chopping people's heads off. They have song Elders, which is the only song from the album which kind of ever, became a staple.
Yep.
They have a song called Jennifer Lost the War today, or maybe it was just called Jennifer Lost the War, which is up there with the top 10 Offspring songs in my opinion. It's raw. There's times when they clearly play the wrong note and they just go, fuck it, let's keep it.
That's cool though. It sounds authentic.
It's a chaotic album. It's not an album the way I describe it.
What year did it come out?
89, so 30 years old. It's different style. It's more just pure punk opposed to the pop punk album.
Yeah.
It does not sound like a band that was going to ever get famous.
It didn't sound like they were going to come out with Pretty Fly for a white guy.
But it's a fun album.
Offspring has always been fun.
Offspring gets a lot of flack because they released a lot of shit last 15 years.
After Americana, there was a significant...
Conspiracy of One was...
They had singles, but after Americana, it just took a weird downfall. I think they got too big for their own good.
You know what it is? It's almost like the post-Black Album fallout for Metallica.
Yes, exactly. Or just
similar.
Black Album on, not even post.
Yeah.
It's the Black Album and then on. Although their last two albums have been pretty good, I will say. I like Death Magnetic and the most recent one.
I actually like the most recent one a lot.
The most recent one's great. Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Great album.
That's actually funny you brought that up because pick Offspring, The Offspring.
Yes.
Are you a fan of bands doing covers of other bands' stuff? Like you're seeing a show you're seeing Slipknot, and all of a sudden they start playing, like Anthrax or something.
So I saw one time when I saw Slipknot and Korn, they did a mashup of them doing "Sabotage" by the Beastie Boys.
That's awesome,
and it was fucking great. I gotta post it. You would love that. It was really good.
Well, apparently a cover's making the rounds from a concert, and people aren't happy.
What is it?
They're not happy because it's actually pretty good. Nickelback covering Metallica.
I saw that. I did see It was a good cover.
It wasn't good. It was great.
They did a very good cover, so we got to give some props.
We have to post that. I would play it on air. I don't know.
It'd be iffy. I wouldn't mess with it. But we'll post it on the
Facebook
and the Twitter page.
I'm of the opinion Nickelback sucks. I am not defending Nickelback. What I do think is that it is a lazy argument to just shit on Nickelback.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bands that are much worse.
Yes, absolutely.
Than Nickelback. Their music's not good, but it's just generic, boring, like cock rock.
What Nickelback did, and while I hate Nickelback and I think they suck, you have to respect that they've remained so successful. And one of the reasons they've remained so successful is they found their box, and they have not tried to branch out of that box even a little bit. They stayed right there. They said, "This is what works for us." They make terrible sounding music where everything sounds the same with terrible lyrics, and they're one of the top selling rock bands of the last 25 years. So it's pretty crazy, but Canada can have them back. Are they from Canada?
They're from Canada.
Okay, they can have them back. Take Bryan Adams too.
Okay.
Just take all of them.
Keep Rush. I want to keep Rush.
So I had a couple things. Yeah, I can keep Rush. Yeah, Rush is fine.
All right, we'll post that on the page.
Couple things
Monday.
I had yesterday. The new Thrice album dropped. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Thrice. You saw
yeah,
them live
actually,
with
I
us.
was going to listen to it on the way here, but I was too busy listening
definitely-
to Fantasy Football Trade.
Definitely check it out. It's really cool. It sounds different than anything they've done. Like some of the songs have like an industrial sound.
Oh, I love industrial.
Yeah, like the first song on it is a very industrial sound. They've done some weird harmony and time signature things. Every album, Thrice kind of reinvents themselves while kind of keeping that same. They do keep their same.
I love
sound.
when a band does that.
But they've since they had their first few albums were Identity Crisis. Oh my God. Illusion of Safety. Artist in the Ambulance.
When did the Elements albums come out?
Okay, so it went after Artist in the Ambulance, which is probably their best album.
That's the one that that one I go
then
pretty
it was
deep with.
Vasu, which where they first started to get a little digital, a little electronic, and then it was the Alchemy Index.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't like that's my least favorite album.
I like them.
It's a double album. There's some good songs on it. But
wait, are there 4 albums or it's two double albums?
It's 2 double albums. I believe it's 2. It's just a double album. Double check. It might be 4. You might be right. I just know I did not care for it. And then they came out with a couple more things, and they really found their groove again. They became more of a hard rock band. Certain songs sound like old Thrice, and other stuff sounds like it's just they grew up. You can't constantly be a thrash grunge band kind of. You just can't do that for your entire career. You're 40.
Thrice is a tough. I don't even know what genre I put the band in.
Early on, they were like screamo emo, but
I could put phases of them into boxes, but I can't say
they weren't like Taking Back Sunday. They weren't like
they're not
brand
really part
new.
of a scene.
No, they were liked by people that liked that scene, but they were in another class musically,
metal
lyrically.
people like them.
Yeah, they're so well respected.
They're more serious.
And this new album, the lead singer has one of the best voices out there, Dustin. You saw them live without even being a big fan. They're amazing live. So the new album's called Palms. It's really fucking
And the thing
good.
about Thrice is I've just never
jumped into them.
Yeah, like I don't have a problem with them, and everything I've ever heard I liked. I just never took that step to become like a fan. Which I think if I give it I think if I take 2 weeks and I listen to them, I would be right up.
I think if
you
you started with Illusion of Safety and then went to
Illusion of Safety, that's
the one that has Deadbolt on it.
Yeah, I know that one.
And then I think you would love Artist in the Ambulance. And then Vahasu's pretty good. It's got some good songs.
No. That's I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the Ambulance one. That's the one I go to.
Artist in the Ambulance.
That's
is
the
a
one.
Brilliant,
that's the one that I've
album.
listened to the most.
All right, so then I had a couple movie things too. Underrated horror franchise, in my opinion. One of the underrated slashers in horror. Remember the Candyman?
Yeah.
Candyman was cool. I liked the first one a lot. Candyman. Tony Todd plays the Candyman, and it's kind of a franchise that was ahead of its time, a lot like the Hellraiser franchise. Was restricted by budget, technology, and now apparently Jordan Peele is trying to recreate the Candyman. And I actually like that Peele is very interested in these franchises
That's a franchise. See, that's a movie that should be remade.
Yeah, agreed.
Because it's a movie that it was kind of a cult movie, but
it got
never
swept under the rug.
Got swept under the rug
compared to Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers.
You have something completely different. You have a black serial killer, a black villain, which is very uncommon in there. So I actually think there's a market for it. I think it's something that people would really like, and something that people don't know. And then you could have do you like the new one or the old one?
Yeah,
that is the movie franchise perfect
And
to
it's
remake.
so not only like it's so weird. Like almost people that even aren't horror fans, they know Freddy, they know Jason. They've all probably seen at least one movie or part of it. Not a ton of casual viewers have seen the Candyman.
I've seen it, but by chance, not by
It's
design.
a pretty fucked up movie. Like it's actually kind of disturbing at times. So I think it's really cool that he's revisiting that. And by the same notion, they announced going into movies again. The Venom movie is coming out. And I'm really upset because Sony pushed them to get a PG-13 rating. And I think, come on, Deadpool was so successful. How successful was Logan with the R rating? This is the time to do it. Like, you finally have a track record of these comic book movies with R ratings doing very well. And now just because you want to get the kids in there, even though there's not going to be any Spider-Man in Venom, you have to make it PG-13. Like, just go with the R rating.
I don't put a lot of credence in that.
I
think if you make a movie,
I don't think it's going to make or break the movie.
If you make a good movie,
the rating shouldn't matter. If it's a good movie, the rating shouldn't matter.
I've seen great comedies that are like
PG-13 for sure.
And I've seen awful like horror movies that are R. So
absolutely,
that doesn't bother me.
It's just that I think the expectations for what they could do with this character and the trailers are leaving a lot to be desired for fans of the character. So I don't think that really helps the scenario.
To be fair, though, comic book movies are for children. I think that is, and I get it that it's changed and we've grown up and stuff, but I do think, here's the thing, if you don't make these movies accessible to kids now, then all of a sudden you're going to have a generation where we're going, why aren't comic book movies doing well anymore?
I highly disagree. Look at how well Deadpool did. Both of them. R-rated.
Deadpool did great with us. How many kids do you know are walking around with a Deadpool backpack?
A lot. Dude, you go to fucking Kohl's, Walmart, Target, it's all Deadpool merch. There's a ton of Deadpool
How
merch.
many kids are you around?
Too many. So
no, I get what you're
But go
saying.
back to Blade. Blade was the first big one, R-rated. What else? Logan. Logan was the most successful X-Men movie, rated R. So what you have
I think
here,
you need to have a mix-up.
Well,
You have to have a mix.
That's exactly what it is. So what you're doing is you're appealing to the generation that is coming up now with the MCU, the Avengers, everything like that, the DC stuff, no matter what you think of it. And then you have our generation that came up with Blade, that came up with Wolverine, and then we finally got, that was for us. Like Logan was for people that grew up with that. And I think that's what you can do. And then you're going to have these kids now that when they turn 16, 17, 18, they're going to fall in love with it.
I actually have a question. You bring up a point. Do you know anybody who now that's probably like 17 or 18 that grew up with the new Star Wars, not the new Star Wars, but the prequels? I wonder how people who grew up, not with the hype of the prequels, but that's their jumping into Star Wars, how they really believe those movies held up.
So, I know someone like that, and Dr. Bob. He only first really saw the prequels, so that to him is his first introduction to Star Wars, and he's 4 years younger than us, I think is what it is. But that was his real introduction to it, so he has a different affinity for it than he does. And one of the reasons,
and he was still older when he saw it. I'm talking about kids, like people who were like 6 when they saw
I definitely think that's the case. That to them, this is Star Wars, and they're going back and revisiting it. And there's definitely been things I've read online where kids really are like, up as far as the new ones go, the most recent ones, this is Star Wars to them. And then kids that are 18, 19, 20, they love the prequels. And so it's you're catering to 4 generations, 5 generations of Star Wars fans in a lot of ways.
See, I think
that's why
they know what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's why I
the
think
thing.
with the comic book stuff that it is so oversaturated. But the one thing that hasn't truly been targeted
keep getting ads for rehab for some reason. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but maybe my computer,
they know you're getting married soon.
My
and that's your
computer
next
thinks
step.
I'm a junkie. Every webpage has a rehab.
I had something to
ad.
follow up with you on about that involves you getting married. Because really, realistically, there's a couple things. You get a girlfriend, you get engaged, you get married, you have kids, and having kids. And I don't know what your plans are, but realistically, on the timeline of things, that's what it would look like. If you have a goddamn gender reveal party, I will castrate you. There's nothing that offends me more than a gender reveal party.
No, I'm right with you. We've actually, Mike. We had Mike on the show.
Yes.
Do you know how he revealed his child's gender?
He reached in.
He posted a picture of the sonogram and circled
the dick.
penis.
He circled
and he goes,
the dick.
"Here's my gender reveal. My son has a
See,
dick."
that's funny, but I see some of these where, like, why do you care? Like, I understand you have to care, but it's such a intimate moment, and then you have to involve all these fucking
It's
people.
just another-
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If you're pregnant or your wife is about to have a kid, you're listening to this. Your friends really don't care that much until the baby's here. Legitimately,
No.
I don't give a shit. Your family probably they're happy that she's pregnant, but they don't need all this stuff. It's just another thing they have to pay for. for when you're gonna have a baby shower. Now we got to pay for a gender reveal party and blue and pink fucking smoke. Shut up.
No,
Shut up. And now, and frankly, and I'm surprised you're not championing this. Your opinion is that they don't have genders when they're born. You let them decide themselves. You call it they.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
So
wait,
I just wanted to be sure you weren't going to do that.
The fact that you brought up a gender reveal just made me think of something. This is off the air, but just look at this. If you do a gender reveal, this is how you need to do it, though.
Yeah, I saw that. That's
With
funny.
just a baby just comes out.
If you're gonna do it, you need to make a complete mockery of it. And if you're listening to this, and you've had a gender if you've had a gender reveal party, fuck you.
We're not doing.
That's all I gotta say.
We don't have a kid to reveal.
I know, but I'm saying realistically, in the timeline of things, that would be the logical next step. Maybe you'll just adopt a little Cambodian child.
Okay.
Do you want to do that? I'll babysit.
I want my own kid.
I'll babysit.
Sure, adopt your own.
Would you trust me babysitting?
No.
Why?
Because I hate you.
That's not a good reason, though.
Look, I got something for you. So before you got your current job, when you were in like high school, college age, you probably worked a lot of like odd jobs.
I didn't work at a car wash.
I did.
Go ahead.
Did you ever work at I guess you worked at Best Buy, so Best Buy is not a good example.
Sure.
But did you ever work at like a store where it would be easy to, steal a candy bar or something?
I worked in a movie theater.
Okay. Did you help yourself to treats occasionally?
1,000%. What we would do, and ears would do this sometimes too. When we were going to restock candy, we'd go upstairs and we'd kick a hole in the fucking box that was holding it, and you had to junk it out like instantly if the box that they came in was damaged. So, I want snow caps. Pop.
Well, in Ohio, the police are investigating a woman who apparently stole from a giant supermarket $9,200 worth of ham. Over an 8-year period.
She stole $9,200 worth of ham.
Apparently, the store believes that she stole between 3 to 5 slices of ham every single day over an 8-year period.
That's a lot of fucking ham.
How have you eaten that much ham in your entire life?
I've tried.
I've never seen you eat ham.
I like ham. Are we talking about ham as like
like ham.
As like a glazed honey ham or like cold cuts?
Either one.
What did she steal? Like the like a
big, it was
big
cold
ham?
cuts. It was cold cuts.
Okay.
She would slice and be like, one for you, one for me.
That's a lot of ham, dude.
How do you eat that much ham?
How can you eat more ham? Do you like ham?
I'm indifferent.
You're
to
indifferent
it.
to ham?
I'll put it this way. I won't not eat ham, but it's definitely my lowest. Like if there's a chafing dish, ham's always the last one.
What's
I go
your favorite cold cut?
I like honey glazed turkey.
Okay, that's a good one.
I like turkey. I'm not a roast beef fan because I feel like if I'm eating beef, I want it to be like a steak. I don't like cheap beef.
You don't like cheap beef?
And then I'm a big fan of just good We're not talking about like prosciutto and stuff like that. We're just talking about like cheap. Okay. I like a good salami too.
Salami I love. I like roast beef.
Oh, that's actually funny.
I love pastrami, corned beef.
That reminds me. Apparently, the authorities also said she occasionally ate salami. The police report said $9,200 worth of ham and the occasional salami. The Slamo, I guess.
Oh, another place I used to steal food from. For a summer, I worked in a warehouse that it was called Cheeseworks. So it was Cheeseworks. You know where it is? It's on
I know the story about Cheeseworks.
So Cheeseworks was they sold imported cheeses, meats, candy that would go to like bakeries. Like they would literally at one time I bought a 15-pound chocolate bar from the place. But they sold gourmet candy bars, and we would just swipe them sometimes. We would swipe some of the cheese. Some of this cheese is the worst smelling stuff. There's a cheese, guys. If you can find this, find Grayson. It's called Grayson. And it smells like...
Isn't that the MMA family?
Gracie. Grayson smells like a mix of vomit, that fucking juice cleanse drink, and sweaty feet. It is vile. They would always make the new hires smell it.
Does it taste good?
No, it's gross. I don't understand, and I love cheese. Cheese. The other night, we made like this like Mexican dish, and we were like have just a cheese quesadilla that you could dip in it. It was like a chili soup kind of thing, and I was still hungry, and I had 5 tortillas left, so I can make 2 more quesadillas and 1 like half quesadilla, but I ran out of cheese, but I had string cheese, so I put the string cheese inside of it, and about
adapt.
Yeah, I adapted, and I was sitting there, I was like, that was too much cheese.
You know what's funny? When you don't have like food, the amount of like food, like meals you can improvise. Like, what is the saddest meal that you've ever made? Not meal, but like a snack you made. I'll give you one.
Okay.
I had celery sticks, disgusting, and I had half a jar of like Thai peanut sauce. So I would pour the peanut sauce in the celery, eat the peanuts, chew it up, and then realize I don't like the celery and spit that out. The celery was just a vehicle to get the peanut sauce into my mouth because I didn't just want to sip it like a beer can.
That is, dude. Oh, I'm on Twitter Live right now too.
Oh, it's great.
But you can't use the front-facing camera, which is dumb. The saddest meal I've made. I've definitely just eaten bread before. It just reminded me of one of the funniest stories I could think of about Taylor Micah in the pit. Taylor Micah.
Taylor Micah not in
the
studio.
Pit with Taylor Micah, he's
Taylor
not in studio.
He messed up his file.
So Josh and I were going to a football game, and there was a parking pass left at Greg's house when Taylor was living at Greg's before I lived there, and we had to pick it up on the way. So I walked in, and Taylor was sleeping. So naturally, I walk into his room, and I jumped right on him while he was sleeping. He stands up and he's talking to me, and we're talking in the kitchen, and then I see him reach up on top of the fridge and he grabs a package of hot dog buns. And I'm like, oh, breakfast hot dog? He's like, no, breakfast hot dog bun. wait. So as he grabs the hot dog bun, and this is a great visual, he goes to eat it. As it's about to enter his mouth, I see it's covered in mold. Like it is fucking green and dusty and cottony. And right as he goes to put his mouth, I'm like, Taylor, it's covered in mold. He goes, spits it out. He runs over to the sink and puts his mouth under the faucet. The vile son of a bitch.
I've eaten some. You know what? Now I'm drawing a little bit. I once made bread, pounded it into the rough size of what a personal pizza would. So white bread, pounded it almost into a sphere. Took salsa because I didn't have pizza sauce. Put it on and just ate salsa and pounded white bread.
That's a desperation meal. I'm trying to think if I've done any other weird ones.
You know what's good?
Oh, I had just a pizza dough crust one time, the shell, and I toasted it and I put butter on it.
You know what? I have a bit for next week.
Okay.
We're going to try each of us make 2 desperation meals, and we'll do a taste test on air.
I'm just going to bring ice cubes. I'm going to make vodka cubes. It won't freeze.
So it'll just be vodka.
Water and vodka. Oh, that would taste fucking great. You got to eat it with a fork and knife, though.
What are you talking about? You're just stringing words together.
I'm just saying things. All right, so desperation meal next week. Okay, I got it.
2. Do you think you can do 2? Cheap,
yeah.
Cheap ass shit.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I got something.
Here's the thing. I'm actually a good cook, so I need to actually
think about it.
I have to try to pull myself back because I'm gonna be okay, a little coriander. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 4 ingredients maximum.
Okay, I'm in. So before we wrap up into our hot takes, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about. It's mid-September. We're coming into October, which for me is a great year or great time. Great time because it's Halloween season, which means I'm watching horror movies the whole time. You
like horror?
Nah, it's okay. I'm indifferent to horror.
Oh, you would think that would come up?
Yeah, every so often. Yeah, exactly. So during October, I'm going to give you a horror movie each time.
Okay.
And there's one thing I wanted to approach with you about what would be a good one, and I don't know if you've seen it or if you haven't seen it in years, but on October 24th and 25th at the AMC theaters, they're going to be showing a 4K restoration of the original Night of the Living Dead, one of my all-time favorite movies.
I definitely see that.
And it would be cool to so this wasn't just my idea. You were going to watch that, and then what the actual movie I'd give you is the 1991 remake by Tom Savini, which I've been in a debate with other Twitter accounts.
Never seen the remake.
The remake is incredible. It's a great remake. So I was thinking we could go see that in the 4K, and I saw some of the stills from the 4K, how good it looks. And then you could watch the remake and do a compare and contrast.
Yeah, I can certainly do that.
So October 24th, 25th, we'll figure out what day is better for us, and then we'll go see that at Rockaway.
You know what? That's a good. So if we're doing a theme month, because I have a few horror albums.
Okay,
that's actually a good idea. I have a few that you probably never heard of.
Yeah,
that I think would be good for you.
Is it just going to give me Monster Mash every week? They're coming to take me away. Just over and over again.
What the hell is that? They're coming to take me away.
They're coming to take me away.
What is that?
To take me away.
Is that what they thought was funny before Lenny Bruce? Is that what comedy was?
How old is that? Who was the guy that used to put sound clips over?
Dickie
Goodman. Dick Goodman. If you can look up Dickie Goodman.
Did he blow his brains out?
He killed himself. I would too if I was making those albums for years. So that's all I had for the episode. Oh wait, look, I could have flipped it the whole time.
You dumbass.
Yeah, I'm a dumb asshole. So what do you have?
That's so Raymond actor Orlando Bloom got arrested. He has a tattoo of Raven Simone on his chest.
Orlando Bloom, isn't that the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean?
Orlando Brown.
I was like, Orlando Bloom.
That's all the mileage you're gonna get out of that story.
Okay.
I don't know why I even threw it out there. I didn't care about it.
You open with your hot take before we wrap up.
Okay.
Ralph's hot take.
Ralph's hot take. I'm Teleport Ralph.
We teleported to B 12 years ago. It died.
Hot take. So, sports related. And I don't think I'm breaking any new ground, but I want to elaborate on it. I don't think there's any reason for the NFL to have 4 preseason games.
I agree completely.
Everyone basically agrees. I think they should have 2. I think that's reasonable. What I do think, though, is in lieu of those games, they need to increase practices. And I get that it's a CBA issue, but I think that the Players Association needs to realize how many injuries are we having in the first week? How many major injuries? We've had to have 10 season-changing injuries already.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's, okay, you're going to tear your ACL on a cut, whatever. You're going to break a bone randomly. But they're always soft tissues. They're always conditioning related. The Players Association needs to realize that their players, because they're not having enough in-pads practices, are getting injured. The quality of play is absolutely atrocious for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Like,
it was the highest scoring week of the opening week in like 30 years. It was up over 7 points over the last like 3 years.
That Browns-Steelers game was, now granted,
what about the second half of Dolphins-Titans after the delays? It was 13-3 and then
Jets-Lions. That Lions team looked like it was from, Division 2.
Yeah, correct.
It was horrible.
Oh, the Saints and Bucks.
Saints-Bucks.
Christ, 48-40.
Like, I feel like the season doesn't actually really start until week 4.
Yeah,
maybe.
I would agree with that. Like, that's usually when everyone always questions the Patriots the first 4 weeks, and all of a sudden they fucking hit the ground
did you read
running.
my picks?
Yes.
That's why I picked the
Jaguars.
Jaguars this week, because the Patriots always have in the first month. They always have a
always seem to have
letdown,
that.
and this is I think this is going to be their letdown.
So
loss.
I agree with your hot take that practices should be increased. They should be contact practices.
And cut down the preseason games if you want to.
There should only be 2 preseason
there should be 2.
games. The second game should be the dress rehearsal. Start the season up, and even this is what you do. Then do half the preseason games 1 week. Then the other half of the teams play the second week. It could be 3 weeks of preseason, but teams only play 4 weeks, but teams only play 2.
Yeah,
and then just add practices in. That still 4 weeks of preseason, but every team only plays 2 games.
You know why they don't want to cut it out?
Yeah, of course
they
not.
don't want to lose the money.
Exactly, because they charge fucking regular season prices for preseason games.
Preseason's quality though.
Oh, I mean, it's.
I like seeing some guy from Mount Union College compete for the fucking 7th
I just always
string.
love when people they see the preseason. You see, we went 4-0 preseason. We're going all the way.
Didn't the Browns go 4-0 last year?
4-0. The year the Patriots won 16-0, they went 1-3. The Lions, the year they went 0-16, were 4-0. It doesn't
the Giants,
mean anything.
They went 5-0 because they played in the Hall of Fame game, and I think they went 6-10.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't mean anything. So we'll jump into my hot take now. My hot take is more.
Wait, who is this? Who's talking right now? Is that Teleport Dan?
Teleport Dan.
We teleported 16
years ago, and then they called us the Teleport Twins.
They said, "Hey, there goes
we actually
the 12."
have we're gonna have a bit coming up soon, or not even a bit, a segment where we talk about our teleportation history.
That's something we haven't brought to the show yet.
We didn't think you guys were ready.
We teleport a lot.
All right, so I'm gonna get.
We're just rambling for. No one cares except for you and I.
No,
one person cares.
I hope she isn't listening.
She's not listening.
No. Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I've got to stop. Things were coming to my mouth that I didn't say.
I'll hold it.
All right, so my hot take then is going to be something a little more personal to me. And you're just staring at yourself. Great fucking Twitter feed. David Wright. They announced on Thursday that he'll be activated on September 25th and then play on September 29th in the last home game of the year. What is going to be his final game.
We have a serious
motherfucker. I didn't interrupt your goddamn hot take. I know, I'm kidding. So David Wright retiring, it's been a long time coming. Something popped up in my time hop like a month ago where I said that it was 2 years ago, like David Wright's not going to play again. And he's been trying, and you got to respect his hustle. Like he wasn't just sitting back and doing TV analyst shit. But he
would prepare for 7 hours for every game.
He would prepare for 7 hours just to warm up, and then warm up. It's his dedication was absurd, and in a lot of ways, you could say that carrying the burden of his team on his back is what ultimately broke him. In some ways, I mean, it was such a fluky play that caused his original injury, just diving to tag out Carlos Lee at third base.
It's such a Mets.
Now, as far as being a Mets fan, it requires a lot of internal strength. It requires you have to be somewhat cynical. You have to be sarcastic to really deal with it. But the one constant in the last 13 years since he came up in 14 years, in 04 he came up, has been David Wright. He's been constantly when he was healthy, one of the top third basemen in the league. He was a top 3 third baseman in his prime. Top 2, arguably. Him and A-Rod were probably the 2 best.
Easily on his way to Cooperstown.
He was putting up a 30-30 season, and he handled everything with such dignity on such bad teams. He was always the one taking the brunt of the media, and he always treated them with such respect. Even when they were calling him out, he was always fair to them if they were fair to him. And
you know what he was? He was surprisingly not Met-like.
Yeah, no, he was the one thing in Mets history that hasn't been a Met, really, except for the injuries. We had Doc Gooden, who should have been an all-time great. Drugs. Darryl Strawberry should have been an all-time great. Drugs. I mean, our greatest homegrown player of all time is easily Tom Seaver, but I have no qualms with saying the number 2 is David Wright. It's very upsetting that he's not getting to go out. Listen, he could have very easily, slowed down. I would have been happy if he finished out his career with the Met batting .270 with 20 home runs and 80 RBIs, playing an okay third base. But he can't even get in the field. And as a Mets fan, it is very, very upsetting to see a guy that is everything that any fan wants in their cornerstone player. It's what everyone wants. He was supposed to be the Mets' Derek Jeter, more or less. Is that fair to say? And
absolutely.
He had even less off the field tabloid stuff than Derek Jeter, like with the women and things like that. Not like Derek Jeter ever had big issues, but there was always tabloids around Derek Jeter.
There was always rumors around
rumors
Jeter.
And innuendo.
You never heard anything about Wright.
And David Wright, it's unfortunate that it makes me even more convinced that Mets fans aren't to have good things, but he handled everything with class, with dignity, with poise. He made you actually proud to be a Mets fan when he was the one out there. And they better retire his number.
I was about to say that. It's inexcusable.
The 2 numbers that need to be retired are him and Keith Hernandez, because Keith was even more than any guy from the '86 team. Keith Hernandez's number should be retired, especially because of his media stuff too now with the commentary.
I understand that you don't want to be the Yankees who, hey, you played here for 20
of course,
games,
but they only have 2
retired.
numbers retired.
But
they have Piazza and Seaver, and that's it.
There's
you could argue Darryl and Doc as just because the Mets have so little history. Gary Carter, it's Ron Darling probably to an extent.
I can't relate because my team's on the other end of the spectrum.
They have to retire David Wright's number. He's number 1 or 2 in every offensive
category. The 2 things they need to do: they need to retire his number, and they need to give Seaver the statue he deserves.
Exactly.
Those are the 2 things.
So to Mets fans, it's a sad day. It was interesting watching how the ticket prices jumped up before they announced the game. They were $17 to get in that day, and then once they announced it, within an hour, it went
18.
It went to 80, and now the cheapest get-in for a standing room only ticket is $180, which is crazy. So, love you, David Wright. It's been a pleasure watching.
I'm
looking forward to watching the game.
You know, it'd be great.
Bye, guys.
And it would be very un-Met-like if they did this. If they surprised retiring his number that game. I mean, they're not going to do that because they want the second. The second throw or whatever. But if they did that, I think they would get a lot of fans back. Like a lot of fans who sway.
Yep.
I think a lot of people would be like, okay, you know what? This is good karma. And we haven't had good karma in a long time.
Yeah, and I mean, it took them. They should have retired Piazza's number before the Hall of Fame induction. They should have retired that a long time ago. Keith's number should be retired.
What was Keith again? He was 17?
17, yeah. So hopefully David Wright gets that distinction, and David Wright also requested to Mickey Callaway that in his last game that he would like to start next to Jose Reyes, which you respect that for David Wright.
Yeah.
No matter how much Jose Reyes sucks now and Rosario is absolutely killing it, you're not playing for anything.
Jose Reyes and David Wright are probably the closest thing the Mets have had to like stability from position players.
From 05 to 2011. But that just goes to show again why David Wright is so special. Every other great player had some kind of weird issue, like Johan was getting injured. R.A. Dickey didn't really, but he only had one amazing year. Jose Reyes wins a batting title and takes himself out of the game, so it sullied it. David Wright has done nothing.
There's
wrong
never any.
ever.
There's nothing wrong.
He was classy. It is kind of upsetting.
He doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
No,
I think we both agree.
Not at all.
But I'll tell you
close.
this: I hope he stays on the ballot more than 1 year. That's something that I like when I see a guy who. Like for instance, Bernie was off the
Yeah.
ballot after 1 year, and I felt
He should have been on longer.
he
Bernie.
should have been. He should have been in the Hall of Fame, but he should have at least
But
given the
no,
respect
good example
of.
would be Posada staying on it for a while.
Yeah.
Posada, he's not going to get in.
Exactly.
But he was a very, very, very good catcher.
I hope that David Wright gets 2 or 3 years before he falls off the ballot.
Agreed.
All you need is 5%. What is
Yeah.
that? 20 votes.
And I mean, the thing he'll have working for him is that he is a New York media darling, so he'll probably get a ton of New York media
And also
votes.
one team.
Yeah,
Staying with
exactly.
one team is a huge factor for the Hall of
and
Fame.
he could have when he signed that extension with the Mets, he could have very easily gotten more money on the open market.
Oh, he
took less money to stay.
That is one of the few Met contracts where I said the Mets made the right move,
Yeah.
even knowing what happened.
It legitimately makes me sad because it's been tough watching him these last few years because I know, but I do respect that he wanted to play in front of his daughters for the first time, and that's really cool. And that's gonna be an emotional
I
game
hope they
to
give
watch.
him a job or something, and I want him to stick around.
I think he'd end up being a good manager at some point because
absolutely.
he's a very smart baseball player. But all right, guys, let's wrap it up.
All right.
This was episode 1819, whatever you want to call it. The return of mediocrity of You Watch, I Listen. Find us on Facebook at Attack Moves Network, Twitter at Jersey Pros, and Ralph YWIL.
I'm very active. I tweet once every 3 weeks.
Once every 3 months. Go check out In the Pit with Taylor Michael. Taylor
Michael. Wait. Do I just smell a new character?
Taylor Michael. I like it. Yeah, that's a new gimmick. Again, check out Lobo Sound, lobosound.com/BoboEP. Thanks again for
Great
the new
intro.
opening. Hashtag Shots for Like podcast with Fudge and Finn. And
VR Cola.
VR Cola. And that's everything we got. We'll see you guys next week. Later.
We're the Teleport Twins.